Hello and welcome to today's video on completing the SA103 self-employed pages on GoSimpleTax. We currently have the SA103 schedule open in front of us. However, if you haven't already added it to your tax return, then ensure that you go over to the new page button, which I'm currently on. Press that and choose SA103. You'll then be asked to enter in some details about the business. So for this example, we are going to do GoSimpleTax software. Business type, you would include what's relevant to your trade. I'm going to put over trade, and business description is tax software. Is your business driving a taxi or making deliveries? That would be no. And then you would enter in your business details. And then postcode. You then have your accounting period start and end dates. As we're looking at the 2021 and 22 tax year, the end date must be within that tax year. I'm going to set this and leave it as the default tax year dates of the 6th of April to the 5th of April. If you had any losses from previous years, then be sure to include them in here. And if you are a foster carer, then enter yes there. Once you click save, you'll be confronted with the schedule down the side on the left hand side of the screen. If we press back into the edit button, you'll see the details that we've just entered and some more questions. So first of all, I would always go into the edit button on each of the schedules just to double check that all questions have been answered correctly. So are your accounts being prepared on a cash basis? Either answer yes or no. Has the accounting date changed? Is this business registered for VAT? Are you exempt of Class 4 National Insurance contributions? Have you been approved for a Class 4 NIC deferment? Once again, the losses question is from previous years is there. If you want your expenses to be summarised in box 20 rather than having it in each of these separate sections, then you can do just by ticking yes on there. This basically leaves it as free line accounts for HMRC on the form, which we'll look at later on. If you had any tax deducted from your self-employed income not relevant to CIS, then make sure that you include yes there, although this is usually few and far between. Are you required to complete the self-employment full? And that is if you are basically VAT registered or other requirements that may require you to complete the full pages, then you would click yes here. Does the business have a balance sheet? If it does, then you can include yes, and once again, are you a foster carer, yes or no? To add income on the SA103 schedule, you would press the plus button. The drop-down menu has the different types of income categories available to select. Most commonly, you would have sales as just your generic sales. If you wanted cash sales and invoice sales and separate them between the two, you can do. It's completely up to you. If you are using GoSimpleTax as a main record keeping for your tax return, then you can be as detailed as you wish. When it actually comes to looking at the tax return, HMRC do not receive each individual line or entry. They only get what's actually on the SA100 form, which I'll show you again later on. So for this example, we will stick in some sales. You can include a date if you wish, but it's not compulsory. And you can, once again, if you wanted to do a monthly input, you could do. If you wanted to do annual input, which I'm going to do in this demonstration, then simply put it in there. You can include a description for your own records on here, and if you have a summary of your income, or if you're doing a monthly invoice, let's say, you can always add and attach a PDF copy of the invoice which is relevant to the entry. I press save, and the 24,000 has been populated on the tax return, and as you can see, the tax due figure did update from 0 to 300 £3,763.60. We're now going to look at the expenses and how to add in the different groups. So by pressing the plus sign on the right hand side, you'll have all the different groups that are relevant to expenses. Only include the ones which you're going to have particular expenses for. The most common ones are usually car, rent, rates, power, accountancy and legal, phone, fax, stationery, and other. And if we click save on there, you can see that straight away you've got the different categories now on your entry page. To then add individual entries onto each category, you would then press the orangey yellow plus add button, and once again you'll have a drop down of all the expenses relevant to that category. So we're sticking fuel, and we can have annualised fuel here of, let's say, £3,000. If the total fuel for the year is £3,000 and there was an element of private use, then be sure to use a private use slider. But in this example, this is just solely business, so I'm just going to put business only for my own records. You'll see that the tax due figure up here, once I press save, will update in real time, as it will with every entry that we're going to add in. So we've got car insurance, the private use again is business only because the car is only used for business, and we'll have car insurance of £1,000. Adding in another expense, let's say road tax of £300. And if we don't actually put a description in, then it will just default to whatever the category name is here. So if I click save there, you'll just get road tax added to the return. Moving on to the next category, and we've got rent, rates, powers and insurance costs. Drop down menu again, and you've got all the typical expenses that you would usually expect to see in here. If you wanted to include anything on there, so for example rent, then you could include the total rent for the year and press save. I'm just going to pause this now and add in a few extra expenses, and then when you come back to me it will be a more complete return. Okay, so I have now added in a few extra expenses. If there are any amendments that need to be made, such as the fuel has been overstated, we accidentally added a zero, and it should have been at £300, you would simply just press the pen tool to edit, go into the amount, press save, and this will update again in real time. £300 has now been updated, and the tax due increased because we were reducing the expense available. Now that we have the majority of the expenses entered, and we've changed anything that may need changing, we can go over to the reports page. So we press reports at the top of the page. We can view a quick view of the tax calculation so far. So given the entries on the self-employed SA103 pages, we have currently got profits of 15,250, with a breakdown of any tax due and national insurance contributions underneath. On the reports page also we have a breakdown in a much simpler format, so the tax liability for the year, any class 4, any class 2, will give the total tax liability, and then any tax paid at source, if we entered payments on account, will also be taken off, and then it gives a balance with payments on account due for next year if relevant, which in this case it is. If you scroll further down to the bottom of the reports page, you can download the SA100 form, which includes the additional schedule of the self-employed SA103, or you can download the SA302, which is a PDF copy of this calculation here. I'm going to click the download SA100 button and it will open a new tab. And once it's loaded, I'm just going to scroll down to the SA103 schedule. So here we have the self-employed short pages. We've got the details that we've included in. Here, and with the turnover and all the expenses is summarised in box 20, as we did click the button to do so. If I was to quickly switch back to the SA103 schedule, the one that we entered into, press edit and change the answer to the summary question as no, and press save, and then go back to the SA100 reports page, go back to the report page, download the SA100 now, and scroll down again. This time we will see that the boxes are no longer summarised in box 20. Instead, we've got them split into each of the relevant categories. Finally, for those that have made payments on account during the year, you would actually add these in as an expense group. So on the SA103 schedule in the expenses, press the plus button again and choose payments on account. If we scroll down to the payments on account section now, we can add in any payments on account made. So if we made a payment in January, and press save, and then we made the second payment on account in July, again press save, and you can see that the tax due is reducing as we are entering these figures in. Flicking back to the reports page again, and you can now see that payments on account have been made of 1,100, which is the two payments of 550, which you just entered onto the tax return. This is a quick video on how to complete the SA103 pages. Hopefully you found it useful, and if you need any other videos, then please visit our YouTube channel.